Okay, so we're back at you in your lives with more NFL content because we literally haven't done anything since we talked about basically the Super Bowl, right? And then after that,
No,
it
no, no.
was
The draft.
oh
Remember?
yeah, oh yeah, that feels
Yeah,
like ages ago when we
I know, dude.
spent 5 hours trying to get to the Trey Lance. No, because we were waiting for what's his face. Well, your guys' draft pick.
Yeah,
What was it?
for
What's the cat's name?
Eric Stokes.
Oh,
Eric
yeah.
Stokes.
Weren't too stoked about the Stokes pick. That took.
Hey, actually, I was okay with it, honestly.
Were you actually? No, but who did you want?
As long as it wasn't another quarterback.
No, yeah, I know. Look, dude, what? Okay, actually, let's start out with that. Jordan
All
Love. Quick assessments about Jordan Love because he actually really didn't look that bad. He looks athletic and he extends plays a little bit.
Yeah, so I think what was actually kind of interesting was that in college, and I'm basing this off of like his YouTube highlights. All right.
Yeah.
So the stuff that got him, seen like that jumped out on the scouts radar was the stuff that he would do off script, not any of like the scheduled, whatever system they ran in at Utah, whatever system they ran, nothing like that. It was all his off script stuff. So, kind of coming into it, it was like, okay, we're going to see a lot more of that. That's going to probably be a little bit more schematically. Obviously, Matt LaFleur has his system and everything like that. So I was anticipating more of that Jordan Love. Someone who didn't really get to play last season, maybe threw a couple of balls in practice. That's about it. And didn't really go into, any games, right? So the type of football that I was expecting from him was a lot more of the same that we saw in kind of college, like kind of like that off script, like, just like kind of going for it wherever it ends up, I think. And what we ended up seeing was a little bit more of the reverse, a guy who thrived in structure, a guy who thrived in the system and made scheduled plays when he was supposed to make the scheduled throws when he was supposed to make them on the plays. A lot of dink and dunks to tight ends and running backs. I think his one touchdown of the preseason was actually, pretty much all Kylan Hill, but it was off a screen pass or something like that. And that was his one touchdown. But that's not to say like he wasn't making those throws that, jumped out to scouts. It's not to say that he wasn't making those off script plays. When he did kind of, have to get out of the pocket, move in, find the open receiver, make those, if he rushed it, that's when he got into trouble, I'd say generally. And overall, I think he needs like another season, probably another 2 seasons to really get comfortable playing in the NFL. Depending on, if Rodgers get injured, God forbid.
That would be.
But if something happens to Rodgers, I know, and then Jordan Love has to step in, I don't see him, getting much NFL game action. Aside from, kneeling down or something like that,
Exactly. Because with everything going down with all the quarterback changes and everything, I put him in the same category as Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence. You know what I mean? He basically to me is just another guy, a young guy. Like I classify him as rookie. Just one of the rookies, basically. Because last year was kind of a joke, and Justin Herbert is an absolute anomaly. The fact that you can roll in and do that on that type of year just goes to show how special he is, in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, Justin Herbert, I think he's going to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback this year.
I'm taking him all day.
Oh, 100%. Same here. I'm actually going to be targeting him. I hope no one from my fantasy leagues watches this because they're going to snipe that.
What have you done mocks?
Bro, I've been doing so many mocks, and I've been getting Justin Herbert consistently in like the 7th or 8th round, and I'm thinking that's a sweet spot for him.
Okay. Yeah, I think what did I snag him at? I did a mock draft. It was so bad. Did I sent it to you?
No, you didn't send that. You need to send that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna send that. I'll send that to you, but I'll read it off to you right now. I forget exactly the rounds it was. I sent it to Sheridan. I wanted to talk about strategies with you. What are some of the type of strategies that you do? Because I get so overwhelmed with who I'm gonna pick, and then I get scared, so I just end up snagging somebody that I don't even need. And running backs to me there's so many of them, and anybody could pop off at any given season. I think I need to value wide receivers more. If I've learned anything from what Sheridan's done, wide receivers get you the most. That's where the money's at.
Yeah, I think honestly, like maybe we could do a segment. Like I know you and I kind of talked about it. To kind of chat back and forth a little bit about it, but doing like an all gear no game like fantasy thing, and maybe we can make that a segment. Maybe we can make that a segment,
That
something
would be
like
funny.
Yeah,
I want to do that.
Yeah, I think we could totally do something like that. Make it like a little bit of a segment where we kind of just go over like the highs and lows. But generally speaking, when I, like my approach to the draft is a little bit more like, like for newcomers, it might be a little bit different. For newcomers, I would strongly go by what your adjusted draft pick value is. Mm-hmm. I think it's like ADP or something like that. That'll give you a good idea about where the picks are falling. So if you're picking 7th or 8th, maybe in this year's draft, maybe Ezekiel Elliott, maybe I think Saquon's going to fall, but I think Saquon's been getting picked around 3rd or 4th. Yeah, because of injuries. He's not really going to be playing till he's probably not going to be getting back to form till like the 2nd or 3rd week, I think. Yeah. But look at where those picks are falling for you, and that will give you a good idea of like who you should be looking for when it comes to your spot. And I think obviously, like depending on if it's a PPR league, if it's a half PPR league, things like that will obviously adjust your strategy. But targeting running backs and wide receivers.
You cut out. You cut out, big boy.
So targeting.
Oh, there you go.
That's crazy. So targeting running backs like early and often throughout the draft, finding them at value spots is going to be really crucial to your team. Quarterbacks, if you can't get a good value one within like the 6th or 7th round, I think you can actually get them a little bit later, to be honest, just because I feel like there's a lot of good offensive powerhouses in the NFL now.
Right.
Defense a little bit lax nowadays, especially with new tackle and all that. Yeah, we get into that. But basically, in general, just you got to be targeting running backs and wide receivers. That's the game plan there. Tight ends, you could find value later on in the draft if you don't get one of the top guys, George Kittle or Travis Kelce, right off the bat. You could definitely find value later on in the draft. I think kickers and defenses, you could definitely that they should be your last pick, essentially, last couple picks.
Exactly.
I think one year, one of my buddies actually ended up picking a defense in like the 9th round, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I know. What was it? Who was it?
I don't know. I honestly don't remember. I know it was one of the Padre leagues, though. I know it was one of the Padre leagues. And I saw that 9th round defense. I was like, all right, man.
I'll read you mine. I forget exactly where I drafted him at. So my team that I did the mock with was granted, keep this in mind. I woke up really early and I could not go back to sleep. And so I was like half awake when I was doing this. So I drafted Justin Herbert. I got Nick Chubb. And then, you know what? I completely blanked that I drafted Nick Chubb. So I got Kareem Hunt. We're splitting the rock there already. Okay. Then we've got Chris Godwin at wide receiver 1. Completely forgot to draft a wide receiver 2. So we got a bunch of bench wide receivers. So my wide receiver 2 is Curtis Samuel, who is a completely viable flex. Would not recommend for a wide receiver 2. And then I've got George Kittle. I mean, Curtis Samuel, he's good, but he's going to be.
I think
Thomas, and they're going to be dropping it down to freaking Antonio Gibson. Like it could be. I don't know how many touches he's actually going to get.
Yeah, I think he's a good flex with some upside for sure.
Yeah. And then I've got obviously our boy George. And then Bobby Tonyan at the
as a backup. That's a good backup.
Yeah. I like that. But I have him at the flex spot. So there you go there. Because he was just and then I had the Rams defense, Justin Tucker. And then my bench though, I kind of clutched up. I got Darnell Mooney, Ronald Jones, it's Elijah Moore, Sterling Shepard. And then I just got like Kadarius Toney, Wayne Gallman, and Brashad Perryman. So I just kind of went for it. Just guys that I know that will do some good things this season. But I mean, it was a rough draft there.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I think Nick Chubb, and then getting Kareem Hunt. That's how much sense does that make? I mean, you're vulturing yourself essentially, which I guess it goes to you. But what
they're both
it is what it is. I think the only thing is it all depends on what you're. it all just depends on where your pick lands up. Like a couple of my leagues, I'm kind of drafting at the bottom of the league. So that means in a snake draft PPR, that means I'm drafting twice at the bottom of the bottom of rounds or at the top rounds. However you look at it, but basically bottom of the rounds. And I am essentially looking for. At that point, I'm basically just looking for, okay, who is falling? And then at that point, I'm going back through and I'm looking at depth charts, okay? Right. If a person is going to be like a bona fide wide receiver 1, and I'm going to pull up Buffalo as a good example of this. Buffalo, right, you have Stephon Diggs, but you also have Valley and Cole Beasley. Well, who's the wide receiver 1? Everyone's going to say Stephon Diggs. Obviously, Stephon Diggs, he's going to be all over the field. Well, Cole Beasley, based off of how that offense flows, Cole Beasley actually has wide receiver 2 for sure. If not, I think he strongly has wide receiver 1 upside as well. I think Cole Beasley's going to easily get 10 targets a game. And then I think Stephon Diggs is probably going to get another 14 targets a game.
Who's their other wide
That's receiver? A good situation. So they have Stephon Diggs. They have Cole Beasley. Then they have Gabriel Davis.
Guy?
Gabriel Davis.
Well, I forget. They were when the Niners played them. I forget there was another guy that was super fast that they kept running like sweeps with and stuff. I forget his name. I don't remember.
I'm honestly not sure, but those are the top 3, and then after that it starts getting into a bunch of people. And at that point, you're not really looking for a whole lot of value there. You're looking for a deep sleeper, hoping that one of the top guys gets injured, and now you're seeing a little bit more playing time. But
who's kind of your sleeper pick that it's like a must-have?
Sleeper pick for this year. That's a hard question to put right on the spot there. I'm thinking I'm really liking the Rams.
That's what we're all about here at All Gear No Game, right on the spot.
I'm really liking the Rams running back situation, to be honest. Yeah, with Cam Akers out, obviously, you're going run first offense there. I think Sony Michel is going to provide good competition. I think it's going to be a 1A, 1B type situation, essentially with the Rams. So I think Sony Michel towards the end of the year, I think Sony Michel is going to be a good one. I'll say he's a deep sleeper though. Yeah, Dobbins. Yeah. Dude, he's out for the season. That sucks. I'm trying to think of like any others. Probably like another receiver I like is probably not on the top of draft boards. He's probably falling on like probably like 9th or so. I'd say is Will Fuller when he comes back. Will Fuller's he's suspended for like 10 games, so he's definitely a guy that no one's going to be picking up till later. And I think Tua, you never know, and I think he might be someone to just watch out for. But I think on the spot, those are the top 2 names I can think of. Obviously, I'm sure if I had my entire draft board, I could probably think of a couple others.
Right. I think that the main one you have to get if he's on the board, I don't care where he's at, you got to get your boy Antonio Gibson, because that man is in absolute beast mode, and he's going to tear up the NFC East. I'm telling you.
I would honestly be surprised if Antonio Gibson falls. Okay, definitely by the second round, you got to pick him up. But I think if Antonio Gibson falls anything past the second round, drop what you're doing, pick him up.
No, yeah, 100%.
If he even falls to you, like drop what you're doing, pick him up. He's gonna get the mother load when it comes to share of the ball.
Especially if Heineke ever enters the picture.
Yeah,
you better believe.
I think it's gonna be Fitzmagic still.
No, yeah, okay. Yeah. We'll get into that a little bit. Yeah, I think Ryan's good, but if Heineke, barring like any injuries or anything, it's gonna be a lot of check downs, and he does everything. He runs between the tackles and he runs like the outside, dude. He's so good. Outside zone, like he's so free. I love him so much, and he's like such a good combination of a power back and elusive speed. Like he's just so good. I love him so much. Speaking of that, another sleeper pick, even though a lot of people were kind of hyping him up last year, Jermichael Hasty. He had his last preseason game. He was a savage. The Niners running back room is so deep. It's insane, but you have to account there's going to be some injuries there eventually. And so there's going to be, if you're ever needing a running back, go to the Niners, pick up a Niners running back. If you ever need like a flex or RB, like, yeah.
What is the depth chart looking like for Niners running back? Like who's your 1, who's your 2, who's your 3? Because I know Trey Sermon's on there, and I know Trey Sermon's probably going to get some. He's probably going to get about 10 touches a game, maybe.
Oh, 100%. And he's durable too. That's a good thing. And he fights for yards, like low-key Frank Gore-esque fights for yards. He's gonna get the rock in the 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 if they ever run it. But it's probably gonna be obviously Raheem at number 1. I think Trey Sermon's gonna be number 2. And I don't know exactly what the timetable is looking like for Jeff Wilson's out for the season, I'm pretty sure, right? I think he tore his Achilles.
I think so. I'm honestly not too familiar.
Let me check that out really fast. Okay, so Jeff Wilson, I think he's basically out for he's out for the year, or if not a while. And then Wayne Gallman is probably going to be 3, and then Jermichael Hasty, and then like Elijah Mitchell. But all to me, it's just gonna really depend on who's good in practice, because Kyle Shanahan just seems like the type of person that if you really impress, it's everything's gonna fluctuate a lot this season. I think it's, you know how it was with Jerick McKinnon. He wasn't necessarily the best running back in our room, but he started him anyways and tried to run special stuff with him because I think he just saw potential and it just never really worked out.
Kyle Shanahan is still one of the most brilliant offensive minds in the NFL. And I don't think that's going to change because he literally plays to the strengths of his players. He can make anyone look like a god on the field.
It's crazy.
If he can get the schemes right. So
yeah, I just think it's so sick how we have basically 2 sets. The Niners basically have 2 sets of speed and power because they have Raheem and Trey, and then we're going to have Jermichael and Wayne Gallman. And Wayne Gallman is the most slept on player on the San Francisco 49ers. I feel like nobody talked about him and the year he had after being on the New York Giants. He carried them when Saquon not being there.
Yeah. I honestly was surprised that you said that Trey Sermon would be the number 2 and then Wayne Gallman would be 3, because I thought, Wayne Gallman, I honestly think he might be even pushing for the 1. I think it might be a 1A, 1B type situation.
Like between Gallman and Raheem?
Yeah, I think so.
Dude, that's what I'm thinking too. But for me, it's honestly Raheem 1, and then it's just 2A, 2B, 2C. You know what I mean? Jermichael's going to get in there because he's just so elusive and quick, but you have to get those tough yards, especially in the NFC West where the interior defensive lines are crazy. And just the defensive lines in general are insane.
Yeah.
So it's going to be whack. But one thing I did want to ask you, I wish Sheridan was here. He was playing basketball or something. I was watching the Niners preseason game, and you know what worked more flawlessly than I ever could have imagined is the 2 quarterback system of Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. I was watching podcasts, and people have been saying it could work just because of how much of a genius Kyle is. And you know what? It is fine. Mid-snap. It's not just series to series. We're talking Jimmy in for first and second, Trey Lance comes in for third down. Like, it's crazy. And I think it would just make the Niners that much more difficult to plan for week to week. What do you think?
I think it was kind of interesting how they brought it up. And okay, first off, we want to talk about Jimmy's touchdown there. He just ran in, he tucked his head and just pushed in there. I was more impressed about that than anything else for the rest of the game, to be 100% honest with you. Right. The fact that Jimmy did that coming off, his it was 2 injuries, right? Last season, like his shoulder and then his knee.
I think it was just his ankle the whole time.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, coming off.
I mean, he got hurt. It's everything because he had no protection last year. It was crazy.
Yeah. So I was more impressed about that. But I honestly, 2 quarterback system, and I think the way that I think there's a way that it could work, to be honest with you. And I think it might be something that might be like cutting edge, like setting up, paving the way for like the next gen type thing. And I mean, like you could talk about what Sean Payton did with Taysom Hill. That's a little bit different situation because Taysom Hill was more of a utility, and he's more of utility. Utility, like he's doing everything: running back, wide receiver, tight end, whatever. The fact that Taysom Hill can block like the way he blocks, right. And I mean, we saw how Tim Tebow can block. So
really
I'm not
good.
Surprised by that. Yeah. I think it could. I think it could certainly work. But I think what you run into the issue is teams figuring out what each quarterback is coming in for, unless you're having the quarterbacks, quarterbacks that can do essentially the same thing versus like, we obviously know Jimmy's not as accurate with the deep ball. So if Trey's coming in, are you going too high? Is that automatically your game plan then to cover the deep ball? Is that like how teams are going to be planning for these situations? Like, okay, this quarterback's mainly coming in, tail of the game tape. This is what he's been used for. Mm-hmm. Right. Or is Shanahan gonna, commit to it and then kind of bring it in, kind of mold it into something that's a little bit more like a chameleon, a little bit more hidden, a little bit more disguised with how these quarterbacks are going to be used.
That's where the That's where the weapons of the Niners offense play in, though.
Yeah,
you can run crazy stuff, and it doesn't matter what quarterback's in. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that there could be a way where they can disguise it in a way where nobody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the threat of the run is there with Trey in the game, but you can put Trey in and freaking just hand the ball off to Raheem, and then put Jimmy back in and do something crazy like a zone read, like a read off. Like you could do, and just throw it to Debo. Like, I mean, there's just so much. There's endless possibilities, and I feel like there's a good way where you can disguise it where nobody knows what's happening.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that Trey's more athletic, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think at some point you talk about a scheme that can fit for that. You almost can't, because you're constantly rotating people out to kind of fit a quarterback. So, I mean, like, it's gonna take that much more effort for defenses to plan against the Niners week in and week out, which is gonna leave tons and tons and tons of room for mistakes. And I think if Kyle Shanahan does it well and he truly commits to it, and I'm not just saying from like a preseason standpoint, I'm talking about like a week in, week out, commit to it. You know, I think you guys have like 3 or 4 days worth of practices, but also like just film study sessions where you're just working through and developing concepts that you guys want to roll out for like the following week or 2 weeks out. However, you know, the system actually works out. I think if Shanahan actually genuinely commits to it, I think it could be lethal. I truly do think it could be lethal. So,
what do you think about the because playing quarterback is obviously like a big rhythm thing and being comfortable, but I feel like with how Shanahan schemes stuff up, you don't have to necessarily get in that big of a rhythm, because there's going to be wide open guys all over the field, and then your run game takes so much pressure off everything else.
Yeah, it could truly be a situation. I think it would be kind of interesting, actually. Now that I think about it, it could actually be kind of interesting where they could be, you know, like Jimmy could throw for like 2,500 and like 28 touchdowns, and Trey Lance could throw for 2,500 and like 19 touchdowns, and then combined could be like a co-MVP type season for a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's just speculating, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, schematically, you know, getting in rhythms. I just think it makes it so much more difficult for when you get into those press game type situations, right? Limited time on the clock, you know, 2 minute drill type situation. I think it makes it complicated for those. Yeah. And that's where you probably need a little bit more rhythm.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. It's that game where generally speaking, you're going to go to when you really need to play. Like when the game's on the line, 2 minute drill, you need somebody to take it down the field. We can't just keep putting Trey back in or Jimmy back in. We need just one guy to stay on and be solid and reliable. I don't know who that's going to be, but Trey's finger is a little like hurt or something. But
it's chipped, yeah,
it's chipped. I don't know. I think he'll just be out for a week. But I honestly am not going to be surprised one bit to see time shared in the season opener against the Lions. I think.
Yeah, so he's out a week for sure.
Yeah, but we still have a week in between from the season starting, though.
Yeah. So. I don't think I honestly think like based off like the timeline, I think they're anticipating like a week and then. I mean, unless it's all film room type situation, but I think Jimmy's definitely going to be opening for you guys. Yeah.
I think so too.
And then I think Lance is going to be incorporated later on. If you know, Shanahan truly, like I said, this type of thing, when you're disguising your scheme in such a way where you're incorporating two quarterbacks, it's a commitment thing, because you got to work with both quarterbacks and you got to prep both those quarterbacks. Yeah. You know, in the same way of like, you know, just working with one starter, because in the game, when you actually get down to it, like, yeah, first quarter, you kind of develops things, you kind of put things in motion for things to pay off in like the third or fourth quarter, because now defenses are like, oh, he did that in the first quarter. You know, like you got to prep for that. So now you're, instead of just prepping one quarterback to be on their game and know how to basically fight these defenses, how to orchestrate the play essentially to make sure that everyone's where they're supposed to be doing what they're supposed to do, and then be able to execute that. You got to prep both those quarterbacks. And I think it's just, it's commitment. by the quarterback's coach. I don't know who that is for you guys, but it's commitment by the quarterback's coach, commitment by the offense coordinators, to work through it all. But yeah,
I cannot wait to see how it all plays out. It's going to be great.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Like the Niners will truly be a super fun team to watch this season if they can do it. If Shanahan commits to it, and I think it'll be really exciting.
They're going to be. It's just going to be really fun in the upcoming years to see the stuff that because you can already tell by the preseason plays, Kyle, it's opening a new realm of things that he can do. Like I don't remember the last time we've run since Colin where we've run like a zone read and then. Or just like a design quarterback run and trade
since December 14th since December 14th of 2012.
Oh, remember is that the date of the freaking Colin Kaepernick? Remember when Colin ran it down your guys' throat?
Yeah.
That was the thickest play ever.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. And that's when I knew that our defense was really chalked. And that's when I wanted Dom Capers fired. Oh yeah, dude. That's when I hated Dom Capers since that day, bro.
Oh, it's okay.
Since we've Packers have had like run game issues since like the beginning of time, but more prevalent than ever when quarterbacks like Colin Kaepernick look like God.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just look amazing.
I know.
When all they're doing is just running. I think he threw a total of like 21 passes that game. Right. And I think a total complete like 13 to 21. I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah.
So,
all right. That's enough about the San Francisco 49ers.
Yep.
You want to get in? Because I was watching the Pat McAfee show and he suggested something for us to do. And I thought it would be fun. He suggested specifically for All Gear No Game. He looked at the screen and was like, Kellan, you have to do this on your show. So I did it. I'm going to do it right now with Darsh. By week 5, I'm looking at all of the starting because everything's locked in. Starting like quarterbacks, everybody's locked in for who's going to start week 1, basically. But who's going to be starting week 5 when shit hits the fan? When you have a one bad start, are you going to go to the rookie? You know what I mean? And so I want you to predict like who will be starting by week 5. But we'll start off with Jimmy and Trey. Who do you think will be starting games by week 5?
I think it's going to be Jimmy.
Yeah, I agree.
I think week 5, Jimmy, if the Niners go like 4-6, 10 weeks in, then I think the conversation starts rotating.
At that point, is it
towards,
too late though?
No, it's not too late. I mean, 10 weeks in, you still have 7 weeks left. So you could still, 6 wins flip the switch.
6 losses is a lot of losses.
Yeah, but you have one extra game this year. So
true.
You could still finish the season if you go on a 5-2 streak. You can still finish the season 9-8.
Yeah.
So I mean, like generally speaking, though, I think if the Niners happen to start the season 4-6, I think that's when the conversation starts rotating towards, hey, let's get Trey in there.
Yeah.
Especially with how the rest of the division does. Mm-hmm. I think that matters more than anything because not the Packers, but the Niners are playing for the playoffs. Like they're playing to get into the playoffs. And I think systematically they're going to look through. And I'm not saying that like by week 10, call it quits, bye Jimmy. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, hey, let's reevaluate our options. Let's see what we can do to switch things around. So I'm thinking then, but week 5, it's going to be Jimmy. There's no way.
Yeah. I think Jimmy has a longer leash than people think, low-key.
Oh, 100%.
Especially if they're able to find a way to incorporate both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Because fans are obviously wanting to push the fact we want our new guy in there, but you can't get rid of the fact that Jimmy is a legit starting quarterback in the National Football League. You know what I mean? People are pretty quick to forget that all he does is win games when he's in, basically, and healthy. So...
I mean, yeah. How much of that is on him versus how much of we get into that, but yeah.
Okay, that's true. Okay, Cam or Mac?
I think it's gonna be, dude. Honestly, I was for sure gonna say Cam before this past week. This past week where Cam,
was up the field.
Yeah, and Cam was out for COVID protocols, and then he goes on the field and then goes 2 for 4 and like 50 something yards. And doesn't really get a solid drive, and then Mac plays the rest of the half. I think that showed me a little bit more that Belichick was like, "Hey, we actually got something. We got something that could really work with Mac. And I think I didn't see that in the previous preseason game. So I'm going to say Mac.
I agree 100%. I think Mac has the potential to be the second best out of this class. For me, it's a lock Trevor Lawrence no matter what. I think Zach
Wilson's going to be better than Trevor Lawrence, bro. I 100%. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go on that, dude. I think Zach Wilson's going to be better.
But Trevor Lawrence, to me, my comparison of Trevor Lawrence is what I had when LaMelo came into the league. Is there's not going to be much growing pains for me. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to just straight up ball. Everybody, because when I did an NBA podcast with Jonah, he's like, there's going to be turnover issues with LaMelo. But I'm like, LaMelo has been playing the best. And then that's my comparison is just Trevor Lawrence is built differently, in my opinion. Like, even though he is sporadic at times and stuff, I just think he's a stud. And I think he's going to make a big impact on the Jags this year. And it's going to be fun to watch.
I mean, like, compare big impact. I think I would say I don't, and I mean, this going on tangent, going back to the main thing. Mac Jones. I think he's going to be solid. I'm not ready to say like, oh yeah, he's going to be like the second best. I can say based off what I've seen of Zach Wilson, I'm like, okay, Robert Saleh is in there. I'm hoping the GM knows what he's actually doing now. They're going to build around Zach. I'm ready to say Zach Wilson. He's going to be the best.
Right.
Jacksonville, they got Urban Meyer. College coaches don't do well in the NFL. It's pretty much Bible at this point. I think Trevor Lawrence has the talent, but I'm just not ready to go. I think Trevor Lawrence is definitely going to be top 3 for sure. I just don't know if
this class is deep.
It is deep, man.
Has the potential to be the best ever, almost.
Yeah.
Especially with Fields. We didn't even talk about Justin Fields, and he's an absolute monster. And then, I mean, even Kellen Mond. I watched some of his highlights, and he's so good. He's so elusive, and he's not afraid. Like, he'll just take off and run, and he's not scared of contact, which is kind of frightening. But at the same time, it's pretty sick. It's just a new breed of QB, and in order you can't just be a normal pocket passer anymore. Especially with how athletic and how crazy pass rushes are nowadays. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be absolutely insane. Okay, so you're going with Mac, future Hall of Famer. In my opinion, he's going to win at least 2 chips. I'm saying that right now. I think Mac's going to be a stud.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mac.
All right. Fields or Andy?
I think it's going to be Fields, to be honest. I think, to be honest, based off the Bears schedule, I'm thinking the Bears are going to go 1-4 to start. And I think 1-4 start, I think if they go 0-3, the conversation starts, let's get Fields in. And he saves himself, gets the 1 win. So they're 1-3. They lose the next. They're like, all right, we can't go this back and forth. Let's get Fields in.
Yeah.
And, at that point, I think it'll definitely be interesting to see how Fields does. So far, I'll say preseason. I feel like he's been better in the preseason than anything I saw of him in college.
Right.
To be honest with you. So yeah.
All right. Bridgewater a lock.
Bridgewater.
I think Teddy's a lock all day.
I think
Bridgewater is money. Bridgewater's so good to me, and I watched some of his highlights. He's been balling. Drew does fine though. He's a solid backup.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I heard some talk that someone was thinking about trading for Drew Lock. I forgot who it was.
Yeah. Wait, tell me your thoughts on the Gardner Minshew thing really quick. I think it's a good move.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like Gardner Minshew is. I think he can start in the NFL. I think he's definitely going to be a bottom 25 type quarterback. But I think, he can definitely play. I think he could probably start in place of probably Tyrod Taylor. I'd say probably. Mm-hmm. With Tyler Taylor with the Texans in case Watson doesn't play. Well, obviously Watson's better than Minshew, right. But I think it was a good move. I think it would have been really crazy if Minshew would have actually beat out Trevor Lawrence. And I think that was something I was actually ready for. I mean, I like Trevor Lawrence. I think he can ball, but I was actually ready for Minshew to actually beat him, just because I feel like there was just a little bit more from Trevor Lawrence that we were just waiting to see. But I think whatever the situation was in practice, whatever the situation was in preseason, Trevor Lawrence, he played with the ones the entire preseason. All the games he played with the ones. Minshew, he produced with the 2s and 3s. So I think what that tells you as any GM, any coach in the league is that Minshew's going to go out there. He's going to give it his all. He's going to put your football team in the best position to win some games. Right. And the Eagles going for him, that was a shock. I think it's crazy that Nick Sirianni has not committed to Jalen Hurts. How do you? Crazy. I mean, like, I get it. Nick Sirianni's new, but you're the Eagle. Like, the Eagles franchise drafted this guy in the second round last year.
Wasn't the first pick?
No, it was in the second round last year.
No.
Like 90.
What didn't he go early second round though?
No. It was.
I forget.
No.
I just love that pick for them though. And then obviously Gardner. I want to see what he can do with some protection because he barely had any.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts. I'm looking at this now.
I love Jalen. He's perfect. He's. I don't know. He's so
round 2, pick 53.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
he was towards the ball. Yeah.
Yeah, towards like the middle. They drafted back, or they traded back up to get him. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the Eagles franchise got him in the second round. They liked him enough to let go of Carson Wentz last year. Okay, they liked him enough to let go of Carson Wentz last year to move on to him. Okay, he goes 6-4 in the final, I think 3-4 games that he played. He goes 6-4, and everything you hear about this guy is he's studying the playbook. He's committing to spending time with his receivers, getting on the same page. He's quizzing them in the hallways. Okay. And he's, I think that was actually Mac Jones that was actually studying. But basically, this guy is nothing but a gym rat. Okay. And Nick Sirianni's like, hey, I'm not really ready to, like, how do you do that? Like, give the guy a chance. I mean, I think Jalen Hurts is going to start based off of preseason. I don't think he played a single snap, but I think Jalen Hurts is going to start for sure. But I mean, how are you not ready to commit to him? So I don't think the Eagles should have drafted Gardner Minshew. I think if the Vikings would have drafted Gardner Minshew, I was ready for it. I was ready for something like that to happen, for 100% sure. If the Texans would have done it, I'd have been okay with that too.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense for them. Their quarterback situation. For now, yeah. I mean, quarterback situation, not really sure. Get some help. Nothing else.
Jalen Hurts, to me, he's like Justin Fields. Maybe not as good, but he's everything that you could want right now in a quarterback. And you got him in the mid-second round. And he could easily, the way he played in college, I mean, like putting his like struggles in some of the big games aside, he's got like everything you could possibly want, and he's durable as hell. He's one of the probably pound for pound the strongest quarterback in the National Football League, as far as like weightlifting and durability and being able to take hits.
Yeah, that dude. Stud. Yeah, straight up. Yeah, he is. So I don't think the Eagles should have gone for him. I think that was a bad move, and I feel bad for Gardner Minshew because he's entering a situation where he's going to be the backup.
100%.
I mean, yeah, sure, he could definitely fight for that position, for the starting role. He could definitely fight for it, but
right.
I just don't know why the Eagles would have done that. I think they should have commit to Jalen Hurts as their starter, as their future.
I agree. Okay, last two, Fitzmagic or Taylor?
Fitzmagic. I think Fitzmagic plays the season. I think for some reason the Redskins Washington football team didn't draft a quarterback this time. I was fully expecting them to draft a quarterback, but I guess you
can wait.
They're in a rebuild mode, I'm assuming, and they're thinking that their defense is committed enough to win some games, but they're in a rebuild. So I think Fitzmagic is going to be their transitionary type quarterback, and I don't anticipate him losing that job anytime soon.
Yep. Jameis. I think Jameis is going to stay.
Yeah, he's a lock.
He's a lock. You think, because the Jaguars are playing Houston week 1, right? I think they are. Will Trevor Lawrence, what is it? Will Trevor Lawrence be the first number 1 selected QB in 13 years to win their first career start?
Yes.
Yes, 100%. I after going through and doing the playoff predictors website, I do not see the Texans winning a football game this year. And if they do, it's going to be like something whack. Like maybe against the Jets or like something like I don't see them winning a game.
Yeah, I definitely think their Jags are going to be winning that. So, yeah, Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. What QB/teams are you expected are you expecting to ball out?
Like sleeper teams, like
Yes.
teams that aren't on.
Yeah, these are like my sleeper teams that nobody's really expecting to, but I think they're going to ball out.
Okay, I think the Broncos are going to be really good, really good, and by really good I mean better than they previously have. If they go 9-8 or even 10-7, I would not be shocked. Their defense is good. Patrick Surtain, I think he's going to be a ball. I think he's going to be a beast. So I think that secondary is going to be is definitely bolstered by Patrick, but I definitely think it's going to be lethal. Their defense is going to carry them, but also you have Jerry Jeudy coming back, and you have what's his face, Jerry Jeudy. No, the other guy. They just got him this year. Sutton, yeah, Cortland Sutton. Sorry, they have Jerry Jeudy. They drafted last year, but they have Cortland Sutton coming back from injury. So you have. I view Cortland Sutton as easy wide receiver one in that situation. But I think Jerry
one of the fastest guys in the league too.
Oh yeah. But I mean, like probably third or fourth on the depth chart there. But I think you have two wide receivers. You have two straight up like could be number one wide receiver somewhere. I think Jerry Jeudy is going to develop into one down the road.
Yeah.
The season's probably going to be a breakout year for him, to be honest. For fantasy folks there. I know Jerry Judy's on everyone's radar, so I didn't think he was a sleeper, but I definitely think it's going to be a breakout year for him. Yep. Cortland Sutton, bonafide. So I think Broncos are going to be good. I think with Teddy Bridgewater, they just got to commit to him, to be honest. I think I go back and forth on the Jets. I really like Zach Wilson, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really, really like Zach Wilson. And if I think Zach Wilson's going to be competitive enough to keep them in games, to keep the Jets in the games. And I think it's just Robert Saleh. I love Robert Saleh. I'm high on Robert Saleh. He's beaten the crap out of the Packers countless times. So I absolutely love him. I definitely think that the Jets defense is going to be one of those types of defense. Probably not going to be top 10, but I definitely expect them to be top 15 for sure with all the pieces that they have. Yeah. So I think the Jets and the Broncos, they're going to be good.
Do you have any like individual players?
Individual players expected
besides like Zach.
Individual players that I expect to break out the season.
I worded that question so wrong. What I wrote down was what QB/teams are expected that aren't expected to do much, like will ball out this season. That's what I meant to say. Like the teams that aren't expected to do much, like who will do well. And I think you already said them for sure.
Yeah, for sure. As far as individual players, obviously the stars I feel like are going to ball out, but I feel like what's his face? I think the Rams receivers are going to be good. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. I feel like last year, down year for both of them, struggling with injuries, everything like that. So I think they're definitely going to break out. But I mean, like they've been in the league for a minute now. I mean, like they've been. So I won't consider that. I'm thinking like sophomore breakouts. I feel like this could be an entire section in itself.
Right.
I feel like sophomore breakouts from last year. Jaylen Rager for sure. Jaylen Rager, I think he's breaking out. I think last year was a little bit of a growing period. He had to get adjusted to the NFL. I think there were tons and tons of reports that he wasn't doing his background work. He wasn't doing the studying. He wasn't research. He was kind of clueless out on the field a little bit. That's what I heard, or at least that's what I read. So I think Jaylen Rager, on full off season, getting on the same page with Jalen Hurts, committing to studying the playbook and staying really healthy. Staying healthy and really working his ass off, to be honest with you. I think I think Jaylen Rager is going to be one of those sophomore breakouts.
Yeah, so. Rager and Devontae. Isn't Devontae like a little dinged? Or he was? He might be actually.
Devontae Adams?
No, Smith.
Devontae. Oh, yeah, he's dinged. Yeah, he was dinged.
But I think that could be lethal.
Yeah, Jaylen Rager. And I mean, like, they're both fast. They're both super fast. Jaylen Rager, I think he was like he had like the fourth or fifth best 40 time. And he was like a 4.3, 4.37.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Like so, yeah. No, he's fast.
Mine are mostly just individual players that aren't expected to do much, but I think they're going to ball. These are my 5. Okay. All right. We'll start off Sammy D. I think Sam Darnold has a more decent year because Matt Rule, I think that he's going to do okay. And then also I think Jameis, Tua man, and then also Danny Dimes. Let's go.
Danny Dimes. Oh yeah, Danny Dimes. I think. Okay? Question for you for Danny Dimes: is this a make or break year for him? Is he out if he doesn't win this year?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But okay.
I think so too.
We can do another episode soon. I know you have to go. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we'll do another one, and then hopefully Sheridan can come on, and we have a lot more to talk about. So we can just do another one later in this week.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and get the fantasy league going for us, and then let's do it like a live draft or something. I think that'd be fun. That'd be lit, and then we can kind of like segment it out. It'll be cool. It'll be super fun.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much. Yeah. It was good. Kel. This was like 40 minutes, which was perfect.
Sorry, Kel. I gotta go, but
it's okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. And then we'll do another one. We'll just have to figure it out. I have to always keep in mind that you are 2 hours ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No worries. Just something came up, so
it's okay. All right. Bye.
All right. Later, Kel.
Later.
Bye.